My name is Deborah Parr-Medina. I am a professor of Mexican American and Latino Studies at the University of Texas at Austin, and I also am director of the Latino Research Institute, and we sponsor the Intersectional Qualitative Research Methods Institute for Advanced Doctoral Students. The Intersectional Qualitative Research Methods Institute specifically focuses on advanced doctoral students who are learning how to integrate intersectionality into their dissertations and their research projects.
I'm coming from a field that, well, both of us are coming from a field that doesn't necessarily always acknowledge intersectionality. When I see it presented, if I see it presented in lectures, it's a very and we have this new idea where we're gonna try this thing where we're considering both their race and their gender at the same time.
Intersectionality is grounded in critical race theory, Black feminist theory, Chicana feminisms. It is really birthed out of interdisciplinary studies.
Because it's multidisciplinary, because I have to bring in language studies and ethnic studies, anthropology, sociology, political science, communications, I bring in all these fields, and so it's difficult because everyone has different theory and different views, but then it's wonderful because I get to work with so many people and have so many viewpoints.
So it's an exciting challenge, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking with our colleagues and we're trying to describe, in a public health setting, maybe to epidemiologists, what we're trying to do, it can be difficult, but it's really fun at the same time because we're able to provide a lot more context for these ideas that just keep being perpetuated in research.
So this offers them the opportunity to come to a space with other people who are engaging in the same types of research questions, methods, and analysis so they can create more in-depth analysis and move their dissertation projects forward.
Another challenge that I'm seeing in my own work and in the field in social policy is access to data that allows for an intersectional analysis. Thinking especially from a quantitative perspective, I think sometimes our data sets aren't designed to be able to do justice to that. And from a qualitative perspective, being able to ensure that you're really operating from an intersectional lens with your samples that you have access to.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I didn't necessarily expect, but that has been really great about this, has been that there are faculty that have navigated kind of bringing qualitative work and intersectionality into fields that wouldn't necessarily, a lot of these people have been doing it for so long. I feel bad saying that I'm having a hard time integrating it into my work.
And there are few scholars who are trained in this methodology, and oftentimes they're seeking out experts in the field and other people to collaborate and think in community with.
I like it when I can talk to someone who does political science or economics, and they're like, yes, being bilingual isn't helpful in the labor force. And I can ask, have you taken in ethnic studies to consideration? Maybe their own view of their language is impacting labor as well. And again, there's lots of systems and things that go into play, but because they've been so focused in their area field, it's kind of exciting to bring new fields in for them. Sometimes when you can make that connection, I think.
So we don't often get the opportunity to have this sort of training, especially the qualitative piece. And so it's really exciting. I've had to go out of my way in other ways to get this sort of training and experience. And so I would describe it almost like a breath of fresh air. It's kind of giving more purpose and more drive, because sometimes when I'm describing my research, I feel lost because I feel like I'm having to re-explain it to people who might not understand. But here, when I talk about my research, they understand and they provide context that I can use for my dissertation, which is so helpful because the dissertation is overwhelming already.
Many Latino scholars are actively engaged in this research and are really in the cutting edge. And so we have lots of experts in the area, and we can offer this unique experience and exposure to scholars doing this work to our participants.
But yeah, having that opportunity to speak with them and find out and get their perspective on things and understand what their journey has been to where they are is a unique perspective that even I think even in like good departments with good mentoring and stuff, you're not necessarily always going to get that sort of one-on-one time and that sort of candidness that we've been able to get at the training.
In addition, it offers an equity lift, an opportunity for them to develop professionally.
And I do think like the professional development piece, I think being in a space where it's not assumed that you know everything already can be especially liberating for those of us who are like first generation, come from families that,
These are young scholars who will be soon transitioning into academia, and so they learn about the process of becoming an academic scholar at a university setting. What is it going to take to transition from student to faculty?
But yeah, I think being in a space where you can ask questions that I also, wouldn't ask if I were in my home department. Even just finding out like, what does it really mean to be a junior versus senior faculty? How long is the tenure process? All of these things that kind of get thrown around in like almost jargon in academia that I think for some of us can be a little exclusionary because we don't necessarily know what they mean.
I really enjoyed too, right? We all do intersectional theory in some way. And that means we all care about people. And we're trying to make sure that every aspect of a person is accounted for. And so for me, that has been a big support too, because like you said, we may not get that in our department, but here are people across the United States who are saying, make sure you look at the whole person in my field. And that has been really inspiring for me.
Right, and I think when you do that, it's harder to do the whole thing with just like, oh, that's cultural, or oh, that's, I think there's a lot of putting things on to groups, especially when you just kind of throw them in and you don't think about what the full person feels like. With intersectionality, I think it forces you to really consider like the full human.